I found the bank statement in the laundry basket, tucked between a crumpled sock and a bottle of Downy. It had my daughter's name on it, her trust account, the one we built from her first breath, and it was empty. Zero. Gone. I blinked at it like a child squinting into the sun, hoping the world would make sense if I stared hard enough. It was a Saturday. I remember that because the house still smelled like pancakes, and I'd just poured maple syrup in the shape of a smile on Grace's plate before she went quiet. "Don't worry, Dad," she said, calm as a still lake. "I took care of everything." She didn't flinch, just kept chewing as if nothing had broken, as if our lives weren't being hollowed out in real time. That night my wife didn't come home. 2 days later, she called, screaming, howling like a woman set on fire. Her voice cracked through the receiver like something rabid. "What did you do? Where is it? Where is it?" I didn't say a word. I just looked at Grace, sitting cross-legged on the floor, her homework untouched, her eyes too old for 15. She smiled like it wasn't the end of the world, like it was the start of something else. When betrayal comes, it doesn't wear a villain's mask. It looks like the woman you kissed on a rainy Tuesday, barefoot in the kitchen. It smells like her shampoo on the pillow you still sleep beside. It doesn't roar, it whispers, and then it leaves. Her name was Mia. She was my wife for 17 years. I built a life with her like a man builds a lighthouse, stone by stone, for storms I never imagined she'd be the one to summon. She cleaned out Grace's trust, $212,000, and vanished with a man I'd never heard of but who'd apparently been in her bed longer than I cared to know. They ran off to Mexico. I found a blurry selfie of them on her sister's Instagram. His hand on her thigh, her drink raised to the sky. The caption said, "Finally free." People always ask if I saw it coming, as if disaster makes appointments. No. I saw her that morning folding laundry. I kissed her cheek. She said, "Don't forget Grace's parent-teacher meeting." She left after that. Left us. I tried to file a police report, but it didn't qualify as theft, not technically. Her name was on the account too, joint custodial. We'd set it up that way when Grace was born. For emergencies, Mia had said back then, curled into me like a promise. Apparently infidelity counts. The money was for Grace's future, her college, her first car, her escape hatch. Mia turned it into her own. The betrayal burned, yes, but it was the quiet disbelief that nearly killed me. How do you explain to your daughter that the woman who sang her lullabies would gut her future for a man who couldn't spell responsibility? I broke. Not in front of Grace, never in front of her. But when she slept, I curled up in the laundry room and wept into her baby blankets. Then came the calls, her family, my mother, friends who'd heard bits and pieces. Everyone wanted a story they could process, a scandal to bite into. But I didn't have anything poetic. I only had silence, shame. We left the house a week later. Grace said she couldn't sleep in the same walls. "It still smells like her," she whispered. I found us a rental 2 hours north, a small cabin near Lake Harmony, where the nights were quiet and the trees didn't ask questions. I got a job unloading produce for a grocery chain. Hard work. Cold mornings. No one cared who I used to be. That was the point. I started fixing things around the cabin. Doors, pipes, broken shelves. There's something holy about wood and nails. Something that lets grief drip out through your hands. Grace homeschooled for a while. She spent her afternoons sketching under pine trees. Sometimes I'd find drawings of wolves and broken crowns and girls with swords in their hands. I never asked questions. She didn't offer answers. But she smiled more, and I began to sleep again. One evening, midwinter, we sat on the porch wrapped in blankets. I asked her, finally, what she meant that day when she said she took care of everything. She didn't look up, just sipped her cocoa and said, "I found Mom's password journal. She kept it taped under the bathroom sink." A pause. Then, "She moved the money to an offshore account. I moved it back. My breath caught. She had no idea I could. But she left her laptop open one night last summer. I saw everything. I stared at her, stunned. She wasn't gloating. She wasn't angry. Just resolved. A 15-year-old girl with the steel of a war general. She didn't just protect her future, she protected my soul from complete collapse. She called me, she added, quiet, called me, begged, cursed, said I ruined her life. I asked what she said back. Grace smiled. I told her she made her choice. I just made mine. I'd always tried to be her shield, but in the end, she became mine. The town never asked why we were there, why a man with city hands worked freezer shifts, or why a girl with shadows under her eyes never went to school. They just let us be. And in that stillness, we rebuilt. We planted tomatoes that summer, built birdhouses. We laughed again. Not like before, not light and aimless, but deep, earned laughs. The kind that come after you survive a fire and find you still have lungs. I still think about Mia sometimes. Not out of love, that's long gone, but out of wonder. How someone you trusted with your life can walk away holding a match and a gas can. But this isn't her story, it's Grace's and mine. A story about what remains after the wreckage. About a girl who didn't let betrayal define her. About a father who broke but kept standing because someone half his size believed he still could. There's no neat ending to this, no poetic justice served on a plate. Just this. Sometimes survival doesn't look like justice. Sometimes it looks like a teenage girl staring down a hurricane and saying, "Not today." And sometimes that's enough.